Hey guys, it's Jessie V. So I don't really know what made me want to do this video, but today we're going to be talking about evil Furbies. This is so random. I don't know guys. I don't know what's wrong with me, but Furbies intrigue me. I have to admit though, I never owned an actual talking large Furby. I just owned the little ones you got from McDonald's. So mine never made any noise. They just sort of opened their eyes and mouth. Although I did borrow my friends' Furbies sometimes, and when they would come over for sleepovers, sometimes they would bring it, and I just remember it talking in the middle of the night and freaking me out. So I decided to look online for real people's stories about Furbies that were either haunted or just freaked them out. And there are surprisingly a lot of stories about Furbies, so obviously I couldn't talk about them all in this video, but we are gonna read some of the most creepiest ones that I found online, I guess you could say. When did Furbies come out? I don't even remember. Let's look up. History of Furby. We'll go on Wikipedia because that is a very reliable source. Do you remember in school how your teacher would never let you take info from Wikipedia from Furby? Don't listen to Furby, guys. Furby is an American electronic robotic toy released in 1998. For some reason I thought it was earlier than that, but I guess not. It resembles a hamster or owl-like creature and went through a period of being a must-have following its holiday season launch. Yes, I remember so many of my friends and just everyone I knew had a Furby. It says over 40 million Furbies were sold during the 3 years of its original production. That is absolutely insane to me. Its speaking capabilities were translated into 24 languages. I'm still jealous that I did not own one of these really awesome Furbies. I was only able to order Happy Meals and get a tiny one. Anyways though, let's get into reading some stories from people who had some bad experiences with their Furbies. Some of these are kind of long, so bear with me, they're actually really interesting. My Furby played and did what I wanted it to do for a while, but then it started getting an attitude. When I tried to play with it, it said no. When I asked it to do something, it said no, which is weird because your Furby usually does what you say, so that's very odd. It got worse and worse, and it never did anything anymore. Soon, instead of the happy, cute little expression it had, it appeared to have gained an evil expression too. Its face looked angry for some reason. It definitely did not look the same as it did when I got it. Even when I tried to feed the toy, it refused. And if I put something in its mouth, it would make this horrible gagging sound. That's really scary. It just kept on repeating, "Me no hungry." And one day when I was trying to feed it, it yelled at me in a demonic voice I had never heard from my Furby before. "Me no like you." I was so scared that I took the batteries out and put it in the closet and didn't take it out or even go near the thing. That is terrifying. The fact that it changed its voice and started saying different things that it's not programmed to say, that is from a nightmare. Everyone knows how terrifying their eyes are when they're staring at you in the face. Me knowing this taped them shut, only to have them open the next morning. I regifted the Furby. Oh my goodness. When I was 7 years old, my sister and I received, among other Christmas gifts, 2 Furbies, one for each of us. We were playing with both of them in my room when my mom told my sister it was time to take a bath. She left, leaving her Furby on my bed. I kept on playing with my Furby, messing with it and trying to get it to learn words. While this was going on, my sister's Furby was babbling in the background. Ignoring it, I kept playing with mine. Suddenly, my sister's Furby started screeching at me. I turned to look at it and it was staring right at me, screeching. I tried to get it to stop, but had no idea what to do. Then it started smoking. Oh my gosh. Panicked, I tried to soothe it, telling it that I cared about it too and wasn't ignoring it. Eventually, the Furby stopped smoking, but the damage was done. Long story short, the Furby was completely broken, having done nothing but screech and smoke at me. We eventually stowed both of the Furbies in my sister's closet. I never went near them again. That is terrifying. When I read it started smoking, I thought of a Furby actually smoking, but no, obviously the batteries got too heated or something. I have actually read about Furbies that caught on fire, which is terrifying. but I don't know if I'd want to keep it like away in a closet. I feel like I'd put it in my basement or like give it away or something. I had a Furby. They were seriously evil. Mine would go off in the middle of the night and speak in like glitched out tones without any provocation. There's nothing scarier for a kid than hearing some demonic gibberish mixed with sounds that a computer fueled by pure hatred coming from a wardrobe at 2 in the morning. Yes, I have stayed over at my friends' places plenty of times and we're just lying there in bed. It's like 4 in the morning and suddenly you just hear it be like, hi, or like whatever it says, and it's scary because you weren't even talking to it and it just starts talking on its own. Oh, like this one. I hadn't played with or touched my Furby in months. One day I was sitting around watching TV when I hear this groaning noise. I look over and my Furby's eyelids are fluttering and it's making the most disturbing groans. I threw that thing in the trash. Yes, I would too. Okay, let me set the scene. This is very dramatic. I am 6. My room is very small with a built-in wardrobe. I got bored of my Furby one day, put it on the shelf in the built-in wardrobe so it's out of sight. I go to bed one night, tucked in all toasty, no lights on or anything. All of a sudden, I am woken up. I hear what sounds like crying. I sit bolt upright. The crying continues. Then all of a sudden I hear peekaboo and hungry amongst other annoying things. I go into the wardrobe and the Furby is just there, staring at me. After finally shutting it up / putting it to sleep, I go back to bed and it wakes me up again. It was only after ages of getting the batteries out I finally got peace, but even 12 years after, that haunting sound of the whining of a Furby still disturbs me. This was a very like in-depth descriptive one. I love this one. Okay, this is kind of a long one, bear with me. So my sister used to collect all these Furbies, hundreds. It was weird, but that was just her. One day she buys one on eBay. We thought it was a joke. It said haunted Furby. It was cheap enough, so she went for it. Huge mistake. Strange things started happening after she got it. She started noticing some coming up missing. At first she blamed me, but after searching my room, she dropped it. For a couple weeks, Furbies would come up missing without a trace. My sister had become depressed at the loss. One night I woke up, it was pitch black. I could hear something small moving out in the hallway. I gave a disgusted groan at the thought of rats. I got out of bed and grabbed my hockey stick. I felt my way to the door and just as I pulled it open, I heard doody-doo-ee. I can't make the noise, but you know the Furby noise. Still pitch black, I could only see 2 robotic eyes at the floor. I yelled in shock and then gave a relieved laugh when I realized it was just a Furby. Figuring my dog had been playing with it and thinking that I had figured out the case of the missing Furbies, I grabbed the toy and shuffled to my sister's room to return the furry toy. I opened my sister's door, leaving the light off to not wake her. Trying not to trip over anything, I slowly made my way to her Furby shelf. I had just set it down and was making my way out of the room when I stepped on something hard. Biting my lip to keep from crying out in pain, I looked down to see what I had stepped on. I couldn't make it out in the poor light. I bent over and picked it up. It was a Furby head. Looking at the floor a little longer, I discovered that her floor was littered with pieces of Furby everywhere. That's when I heard my sister's muffled cries. I looked at her only to see that she was tied up and gagged with a terrified look behind me. Ooh-ee-ah was all I heard from behind me. These Furbies literally tied up his sister. What the heck? Now I feel like this one is slightly dramatized and a little bit made up, but that's still absolutely terrifying and haunted items could possibly do those things. I was devoted to my Furby, but eventually it ran out of batteries and was reduced to a paperweight. Poor Furby. Then one night I accidentally pushed it off my desk and went boo! And its eyes rolled down into its face so that the wires were visible and there were no batteries inside it. That is so scary. Had 2 Furbies. They were buried in the bottom of the toy box. Sleeping in the dead of night, years after we got them, I heard a deep, slow voice groaning, "Feed me." I screamed, ran into my parents' room, woke them both up, had them come into my room to get the monster away. They go digging around the room when we hear it again. "Feed me," it said. More screaming and crying. Finally, my dad pulls out this half-dead Furby from inside my toy box and goes to smash it with a hammer in the garage. Still had nightmares from that one years later. Really? Ugh, that's so creepy. I just think it's scary when the batteries are dying, so the voice sounds like extra demonic. I bought one, and when someone bumped it off the table after we set it up again, it only spoke in the demonic, backwards, English-sounding devil voice. It also functioned without batteries in it during the middle of the night. Horrifying. My brother had one that he left in the kitchen one night. night. In my half-asleep stupor, all I could see was black kitchen blobs since I didn't want to turn on the light and burn my eyes out. So I get my glass of water and start to head back when I hear something giggle behind me, then ask for food. I couldn't see anything, so I just backed away slowly and it said bye. I didn't go in the kitchen the next day until my mom went and figured out what the heck that was. Turns out I couldn't see it because he took off all the fur part, so it was just a black blob of parts. I'm glad I couldn't see it because all there really was were a pair of eyes to see, and that would have scared me more than anything. Ugh, who takes apart their Furby? The little skeleton inside is so scary. One of my elementary school friends' house burned down, so we were going through some boxes of his stuff and trying to find anything that was salvageable or still usable. I pulled his charred husk of a Furby out and looked at it for a second. As I'm about to throw it in the trash pile, it starts talking. I flip out and whip it into the road where it gets run over by a passing ice cream truck. We go to investigate and its mouth is still opening and closing, but no sounds are coming out. The thought of it still haunts me to this day. The fact that a Furby could be so charred and destroyed by fire and still work is like amazing to me. I had a Furby that I loved for a few months, then I turned her off and set her up in my closet. I didn't want to give her away. She sat there in view with her eyes closed for 4 years. One day I opened my closet door, her eyes were open and she blinked at me. Then I got rid of her. These things just, it makes me feel like they're alive, you know? We were watching our neighbor's 2-year-old golden retriever while they were on vacation for a week. One day I was out running errands with my mom and our neighbor's dog was home alone with our own 6-month-old golden retriever. When we got home, we opened the door to find that our dogs had found my sister's Furby and dropped it down the stairs. They were both at the top of the stairs barking wildly at the beaten up Furby that was emitting a constant high-pitched shriek while its eyes and beak twitched. Not a pretty sight. Yeah, that's a malfunctioning Furby for you. Here's another one. Apparently, if you drop a Furby from a high enough point, it makes a terrifying screeching sound until you reset the thing. I did not know this before I accidentally pushed it off my bed. The thing started screaming out in pain, so then I started screaming and crying and thinking I killed it. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. My brother had a Furby and got bored with it, so he decided to skin it. I woke up one morning to a hollow Furby pelt sitting on my chest. Its hollow eye holes were particularly terrifying. Why would he do that? Oh my gosh, that's horrible. So that's all the stories that I have to read right now. That is really scary and oddly makes me still want to get a Furby. So, you know, as weird as that is. If you guys still own a Furby, please comment that down below. I'm really interested to see who still has one. Does yours still work? Does it still like make noises in the middle of the night or anything to freak you out? If you have any personal Furby stories, definitely comment them down below. If this video does well, I might read your scary Furby stories in a video, but we'll see. The next video I'm gonna post is me reacting to actual haunted Furbies, like videos that I found online, so definitely prepare for that because it's gonna be very interesting. And yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day and I will see you in my next video. Bye!